Today's adventure is to see if we can turn these rather unsavory soap scraps into a usable scrubby soap by melting them down and adding coffee grounds and coffee, which makes a great scrubbing soap. I melted the soap in a saucepan over very low heat. Initially, I added only a tiny bit of water. That turned out to be a mistake. This is about 2 cups of soap scraps, and I probably used an equal amount of water in the end. It turns out to be necessary to be able to see the water just at the top of the soap scraps. Here the soap has absorbed quite a lot of water, all the water I put in, and it's sort of a gelatinous mush. I tossed in a 1/2 cup of coffee grounds and a 1/2 cup of leftover coffee. The grounds had been used, which seems to be the most popular kind of grounds to incorporate. I've gone old school here. Potato masher is finishing the pureeing job and stirring in the coffee and grounds, and you can see it's getting very dark. It's also becoming even textured. I never do get it perfect, but it seems to be good enough. Time to spoon the soap into the molds. I'm using a recycled butter tub, that's the larger one, and a recycled cream cheese tub. Here it is. Both molds are greased with the remains of the butter stuck to the side of the butter tub, and it turned out that that worked beautifully. When it was time, the soap released without a problem, and there was no harm to the soap. This is a silicone spatula. Moving it smoothly with deliberate, gentle, slow movements across the surface of the soap seemed to do the trick. You can observe some undissolved small pieces of soap scraps in there. I could have been more patient and made a smoother mixture, but I think it would be very difficult to make it perfect using manual methods, and this little bit doesn't seem to bother the effectiveness of the soap. In order to unmold easily, clean off the edges so there's not soap adhering to the surface of the bar and inhibiting the process. The soap making work is done on these 2 bars. Now we just have to wait for them to harden, see how well they unmold, and then give some washing a try. 3 hours later, they are quite firm, and I was able to pop the small one out just by pressing on the bottom of the mold. Here's the larger soap 24 hours later. It's shrinking and pulling away from the sides, as you would expect as it dries. It popped right out of the mold when I turned the mold over and pressed on the bottom. Here are my soaps a week later. If we return them to their molds, significant shrinking is obvious. That's because they're losing the moisture that I added during the process. And we want to let the shrinkage continue so that they won't just dissolve into a gooey mess when used to wash. So, how well does the recycled soap do the job of washing? That's what we want to know. Here it's lathering up nicely. It feels soapy, as though it's getting me clean. It rinses off normally. The addition of the coffee helps it to scrub stains off your hands, as gardeners and crafters like myself frequently get. It also exfoliates and helps cut down on ingrown hairs for those who have that problem.